Hi there, greetings and salutations, and yes, we love the NCAA tournament. Yes, we love the Super Bowl. Yes, we love the start of college football. But I think I can safely say that I speak for Derek Schultz myself when I, Jake Query, say this is the start of the best week of the year in Indianapolis, Indiana.
No doubt about it. And not that it needed any enhancers or enhancement, but not just racers. Racers, Pacers.
You could say it louder.
Racers, Pacers.
The
Hell yeah,
Indiana
brother.
Pacers, the New York Knicks, Eastern Conference Finals getting underway. And then, of course, the Indianapolis 500-mile race coming up on Sunday. That game 3, will be Sunday evening. We'll see where things stand in terms of that between now and then. But plenty to talk about, and we thank you for listening, watching here on the ISC Sports Network. As always, Bailey and Wood, we are so thankful for their sponsorship presenting this program. Bailey and Wood presenting Query and Schultz. BAWFG.com for Bailey and Wood. The American Dairy Association of Indiana. Chateau Kitchens. Hoagies and Hops. We have a number of sponsors that have been with us. Chili Water as well. To make it possible for us to do this show. And there is plenty to unpack today.
Yeah, I guess where do you want to start? Because any of the things that happened over the weekend, even the Indiana Fever opener, and of course the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese kerfuffle, if you want to call it, any of those would normally be a lead topic for this show. I thought we would start Pacers, but we could start Racers if you would like to.
Well, I'll start by saying this about the Racers, just because it's the more recent, I guess, story development. What we saw this weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, in my opinion. Now, I was not around to fully grasp some of the storylines of the 20s or the 30s, obviously.
Of course.
But I think, at least in my time.
In the modern era.
And in addition to that, not just in my time, but in the link of people who were around even before that and would tell me stories about, yes, the post-war era. I think what we saw on pole day in Indianapolis is the biggest upset in the history of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Wow.
Prema Racing is a team that does have history within motorsports and has been, an aspiring main Formula One team of clout. And they went out and they announced 2 years ago, I think it was, that they were eventually going to have a team here in Indianapolis for IndyCar racing. They brought in Callum Ilott, who last year qualified well for Arrow McLaren Racing and is a veteran driver. And then a guy named Robert Shwartzman, who was born in Israel. He is one of few Jewish drivers to run in the Indianapolis 500. And Robert Shwartzman is a guy that had been in the ranks for Ferrari as a test driver and, an up-and-coming driver for them in Formula One. But there just wasn't that opportunity, so he comes over to IndyCar. They have not run particularly well. They had a disastrous weekend, for example, at Thermal, where Robert Schwartzman's car caught on fire. That lost track time. He was running at the back of the pack. He's been kind of typically running at the back of the pack, and he's never been on an oval, Derek. Never been on an oval. Tuesday, the first day of practice, Prema, that has essentially no primary sponsor, they don't even get out on time to start practicing on Tuesday. They turn like a small number of laps, and they're late getting out on the track.
They weren't ready.
They weren't ready. And it literally was like, look, it's nice of the European team to come over and try to play here, but stay in your lane. Then on Fast Friday, all of a sudden, Robert Shwartzman, a rookie who's never been on an oval, turned some good laps. And he is one that, when we knew that one car was not going to make the field this year, he was one that was consistently mentioned, along with Jacob Abel, of which one's going to be the one to get bumped. It was a foregone conclusion in most people's eyes, fans, passerbys, and experts, that Robert Shwartzman was one of the teams that was going to be in jeopardy of not making the Indianapolis 500-mile race. He sits on the pole. He's the first pole-winning driver since 1983. Prema is the first debut team to win pole since 1984. And this was a team that looked behind the eight ball, and when it mattered most, they brought in Ryan Briscoe, a former pole sitter himself, to help out. And this team now, it's an unbelievable story that he's going to lead the field to the green.
Yeah, it's a three-pronged thing, Jake, which makes it such a shock. And any of these three things are not supposed to happen, as you mentioned. A rookie is not supposed to be on pole. There's one. First-time team is not supposed to be on pole. There's two. a team and a driver on their first oval is not supposed to be on pole. There's 3. You combine those 3 things. Like, there's a minuscule of a percentage chance of any of those one things as a standalone happening. Just a rookie winning pole. Forget, even if it was a rookie with Ganassi or with Penske or something like that. Like, even that is difficult to do, right? And here we are, and he just did it. And that's not to question his talent. I know he was a F1 reserve driver and was in the Ferrari program, right? And he's still just 25 years old.
Right.
And people view him as a talent. Like, you have to have talent to
Correct.
be on pole. You don't stumble into something like that. But, yeah, it wasn't until Friday when you were kind of like, wait, what? Like, where did this come from? And then I remember listening, we're taping this right now on Monday, listening to you with Newgarden yesterday, and Newgarden was adamant that as long as he keeps it clean, Schwartzman's going to be on pole.
Yep.
And I'm like, if Joseph Newgarden is noticing that, then that tells you that your eyes are not deceiving you of what you're seeing out there on the track in that car.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. So, and we'll get to that in terms of when Newgarden said that yesterday in a second, because that's another big story, is that of Penske. Mm-hmm. And I want to put this down into or explain what happened with the Penske teams in like a simplest form, okay?
I was going to ask you to do that, so I'm glad that you've already are willing to volunteer that information.
So here's the easiest thing to explain to what happened with Team Penske. So with each of these race cars, on the back of the car, you have a rear wing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The rear wing attaches to the body of the car with basically 2 tubes that intertwine that are called attenuators. Those are designed so that if you make contact, the attenuators are actually designed to kind of take the brunt force of that to protect the wing and to keep, it's hard to explain, but to make sure that the wing itself doesn't like come flying off, and so it is there to attach the wing to the car. Mm-hmm. The attenuators are 2 carbon fiber pieces that kind of intertwine to keep that rear wing attached. You are not allowed to manipulate those 2 because they're like 2 braided ropes. There are little gaps in them, and if air goes through those gaps, it can slow the car down. It creates a drag. Yeah. You are not allowed to alter that.
We're talking about hundredths of a second here, right?
Correct.
But yeah, anything helps.
So Will Power's car comes through Tech. They're kind of flying him through. Joseph Newgarden's is next. Newgarden's car is in Tech. Will Power's car has gone through Tech. Tech, for those that are unfamiliar, this is the principal's office.
Yeah.
You have to go.
The inspectors.
Your car has to be inspected, and there's a checklist of things they're looking for to make sure that everything's on the up and up. Will Powers has gone through that. Joseph Newgarden's is in line for it. Another team, presumably the team of Chip Ganassi. I don't know that factually, but everything I've heard is that, and that would make sense. But another team notices, wait a minute, the attenuators on Will Power's car have somehow been smoothened out, and those little gaps have been covered over, which creates an aerodynamic assistance, which is illegal. You cannot alter the attenuators. So they go to the head of IndyCar's technical inspection team, and they say, wait a minute, Will Power just came out of Tech, and it looks like something's wrong with his attenuator. So they go back and look, because Newgarden hasn't come through yet, and sure enough, it's on Newgarden's car as well. So they go to Team Penske and say, you failed Tech. Your cars are going back, and you got to rebuild and come back through. And so Penske says, the Team Penske says, okay, then our cars are not going to qualify. So as a result of that, Will Power and Joseph Newgarden were denied the opportunity to run for the pole. Scott McLaughlin was already denied that opportunity because he had a crash earlier in the day. So the fourth row becomes all Team Penske because everything below them had already qualified the day before. Now, Pato O'Ward raised the question of, wait a minute, if we're going off of their Saturday speeds and that's what puts them in row 4, do we know for a fact that they were legal on Saturday? Now, no one has gone back and checked on that, and I would imagine that they won't. But either way, you now have
Would
Penske.
it even be possible? You wouldn't be able to look at like a videotape of the car on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
But would you even be able to see something like that with the naked eye?
I don't know the answer to that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And that's you raised.
I would assume not, but I don't know
the proper rhetorical question there. So as it is, Team Penske, and I thought Pato O'Ward said it best when Pato O'Ward said, I just don't understand why they do this because they're a great team with great drivers. They don't need to be doing this. Yeah. But they did nonetheless. And so as a result, Team Penske starts in row 4, and row 1 is just an unlikely trio. Not by skill, but just, you have Robert Shwartzman, the 2-time winner, Takuma Sato, and then Pato O'Ward on the outside of row number 1. So what fascinates me the most about this is it means that your contenders for the race are literally spread out through all over.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot. I think it was actually Kevin Bowen, your colleague on The Fan, said it. I heard him say, if you would have told me it would be Prema and Rahal for the 2 spots, I would assume you're talking about the bump spots, right?
Correct.
You're not talking about pole.
Correct.
With the 2 drivers there. Tell me if you agree with this. I am equally thrilled and also PO'd with Penske. I'm thrilled in the sense that this sport needs something or someone to dislike. Sports is about rooting for something. It's also about rooting against something. And so if Penske can be the cheaters, the villains, whatever else, I think that's great. But part of me is also in the Pato camp where I'm just like, IndyCar's got to be very careful here because of IMS being owned by the team owner, and you're getting passed at Indianapolis, a building that is owned, a facility that is owned by Roger Penske. You're getting passed by Tech, and a rival team has to point it out that if that's what happened, allegedly, reportedly, if that's what happened, a rival team has to point out, like, your Tech guys didn't catch this, and are your Tech guys operating on the level? And I'm not saying this to be accusatory, Jake. I'm just saying, if I'm on track for him, if I'm John Q turn 4 guy, then those are the questions that I'm asking. Like, I need everything to be on the level with this. And I don't care that it's hundredths of a second or tenths of a mile, whatever else. Like, it's a big deal. And Award's right. They don't need to be doing any of this. And to me, like, just saying, okay, well, yeah, you got to go to row 4. Fine. How many guys have won from row 4? A dozen?
Newgarden won from
15, 20?
Newgarden won from the 17th position.
Yeah, right? I mean, like, row 4, big deal. Like, row 11 is a big deal. Row 10 is a big deal. Row 4, whatever. Okay, yeah, I'll take my slap on the wrist. Who cares? And then I'll have a nice, easy Sunday afternoon. Like, whatever. Fine.
Well, so here's how. So Joseph Newgarden, after this happened, so I'm up in the turn 3. I'm atop the Northeast Vista, right? I'm in the broadcast perch for turn 3. And, I've got headsets on, but there's literally, the section is closed, right?
Yeah.
There's one guy sitting down in the section, no shirt on, sitting with his cooler. So I yell down to him, "Hey, you want to come up here?" So this guy grabs his cooler, comes up. I said, "Just climb up the ladder. Come up here with me." He comes up, sits down. He says, "You want a water?" His cooler is literally all water.
Oh, wow.
So now you know this guy's, what I mean?
Yeah.
So I introduced myself, and he's a teacher from Dayton, Ohio.
Wow.
25 years old, just graduated from Wright State University.
Good for him.
He's in his second year teaching. He said, "I've been coming to the 500s." And he said, "My mom actually, in utero, I came to the race. I've been every year of my life."
Wow.
And our seats are down here, so that my dad didn't want to come today, so that's where I sit for qualifying. I go, "Well, sit up here with us." So we're up there, and this guy, I got to look up what his name is. He gave me his name, and I told him I'm terrible with names. So he sent me his name. This guy says Scott Berry of Dayton, Ohio. We're sitting up there, and I hear on the radio they say, "Oh, look up on the video board. Joseph Newgarden is taking a jog outside the backstretch of the Speedway." This is about an hour after the Penske cars had been pulled out of Tech and essentially disqualified for the day. So I look down, and I could see Newgarden running up the east side of the Speedway, along the backstretch behind the grandstands. It's basically a closed section of the track, so, I mean, it's pretty easy to spot.
You can see cacti blow through there, right? No one's over there, yeah.
So he's running, and, I point out to Scott, did I say his name was?
Yeah.
I'm like, "Hey, look, there's Newgarden." "Oh, wow, okay." So then I have to call it, something on the track, I can't remember what, and all of a sudden I look over, and Newgarden is standing in the top of the Vista at a couple of sections down, just standing by himself, just looking out over everything. So I finally yell down to him, and I'm like, "Yo," and he sees me, comes running over, climbs up the ladder. I think we have a photo of it here, and comes up into the perch, and then he was up there for probably, so there we are, that picture taken by Scott of Dayton, Ohio, right? And so he's asking me, like, "Wait a minute, what did it look like? This view's unbelievable. In the pass I had last year, Pato was down here," and, we're talking about all that. And then finally I said, look, do you want to come on the broadcast? And he said, sure. So I interviewed him on the broadcast, and that's where he said, I don't know what happened. They just told me that that I can't get in the car today and we're not qualifying. I do believe, and maybe I'm naive to this, and maybe I'm swayed by that moment, but I don't think the drivers know it. Power and Newgarden, I mean, are they there watching, like when they're doing some little thing of sanding down a part when they're off doing something else? Do they know the condition of the car when they get in it? I don't.
Yeah, if they're doing it intentionally, which I think they are, then you want as few people to know about it as possible because you want plausible deniability, right? So yeah, I agree with you. I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. And he was in a much better mood than I was surprised by his mood. He was in a very relaxed mood.
Yeah.
And I then said to Newgarden jokingly, I said, "Well, do you want to keep the headsets on and do a qualifying run?" And he said, "But we had like an hour gap." And he said, "Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't they throw to me and I'll do a mock lap as if Robert Shwartzman's on his run?" And he said, "Because I'm telling you right now, Robert Shwartzman's going to win the pole."
Yeah.
And he predicted. And then when we got done, we talked. He was up there for probably another 10 minutes. And we talked fairly at length about the pole. And he said Schwartzman's going to win the pole. And we discussed the bumping stuff as well. But all of that to say, he was in a good mood. And I've been around the guy a lot. He was as loose and relaxed as I've ever seen him. And that was after that all went down. So I don't know necessarily that he was told everything going into it.
Yeah, but again, you can be loose and jovial when you know the punishment isn't that big of a deal. Because, again, row 4, who cares? Would you like to be row 1? Yeah, but row 4 is fine. And while the drivers may not know what specifically happened with that, Newgarden especially would know what the rep is out there for Penske going through what he went through last year with St. Pete. Right? So I think that's what's hard about it. I really like Joseph Newgarden. I like Will Power. I like Scott McLaughlin, but I actively do not want to see any of them win the race.
Okay.
I don't. I'm speaking as a fan more than as a media member. I don't want to see them win.
Would you agree with this? The fan favorite for the Indy 500 will be Pato O'Ward.
Yeah, overwhelmingly. I mean, I think the argument was who would even be number 2.
Yeah.
Who would be the second guy?
Because Connor Daly or Ed Carpenter?
Yeah, right? Number 1 is clear as day to me.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing a pie chart, it's 97% Pato, and then everybody else is fighting for the other 3%, I'd say. I'm sure there are people that don't like O'Ward, but they're not in my circle.
Right.
Because I'm rooting hard for him, too.
I think a lot of people are.
Yeah. And, I never root. I like everybody, for the most part. I would never really, outside of this year with Penske, actively root against, because I thought it was great when Newgarden won. Even though I thought in 23, I thought Ericsson was the winner. And I'll always feel that way. I thought they took it from him. But then Newgarden came back the next year and won again, so everything's fine and dandy, right?
Joseph Newgarden has the opportunity. He will be the sixth driver to try to attempt for 3 straight. And the last 2, Elio Castroneves and Al Unser, both finished runner-up in race number 3.
Wow. That's a great stat. Yeah.
So he's got
a
little bit.
No one's ever won 3 in a row, right?
Correct. No one has ever won 3 in a row.
Okay.
That is correct. So we shall see. Another big favorite, obviously, is the fact that everyone in Indianapolis is rooting for the Indiana Pacers to get past the New York Knickerbockers, the evil Knicks, in the Eastern Conference Finals. This is a heck of a series. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. And I worry, Derek, I have a worry about the Pacers. I have a concern.
Okay. Can we get to that after we get to our Hoagie and
Sure.
Hero of the Week? Because our Hero of the Week is IndyCar related. So I figured that we would stick with that.
I just want to get this sandwich.
Last call for track packs for the 500 Hoagies and Hops, hoagiesandhops.com. You can call the shop. You can go into the shop, 42nd and Boulevard. Get an 18-inch Sando, 4 bags of Chippies, Hertz chips, and it's absolutely delicious, $34.
A 1 Darren King meal.
You can choose. Yeah, Darren was a big fan of that segment. You could choose the Sando, too. So if you want it to be the Keystone like this bad boy, it could be the Keystone. Delicious London broil, LTO, horsey mayo, and some Prove Really, really delicious sando. That could be part of your track back. Also, the big catering trays, I think, are still available. We're taping this right now on Monday morning. But if you're trying to do a porch party and you want a hoagie tray for Hoagies and Hops for the 500, you better call them like now. Like the second that you hear my voice saying this, pick up the phone and call them.
And when you're there, this is the most important. Before your backyard party, before your Memorial Day weekend, picnic, before going to the greatest spectacle in racing, packing your cooler, stop by the Chili Water right there, adjacent to Hoagies and Hops, for the 500 miles high. The light American lager, this is as smooth as can be.
It has a checkered flag on it, for God's sake.
I mean, that is smooth. That is light, that is smooth. Has just a little flash of that, the lager taste. But that has summer written all over it, buddy.
That's good. That has turn 4 in the sun.
Totally.
Nice, cool day.
Totally.
When I saw the forecast was 70, I'm so geeked up. So geeked up for it.
Does the forecast look clean? I haven't looked.
Do you want me to tell you or not? Because you're weird about this.
Just tell me.
You're very neurotic about the race day forecast.
Is it developing that way, or don't say the word? Just how are we looking?
No, it's clean. It's clean for Sunday for the most part. From what I saw, it's clean.
If you could do me a favor and not talk with your mouth full, it's disgusting.
Do I have something on my? Oh God, onion creeping out there a little bit. No, it's clean. Clean and good for Sunday. Here of the week. I mean, who else could it be but Robert Shwartzman?
Of course.
Right? Rookie, first oval, rookie team, 25. There's not a long list of, the most famous one would be Murray Rose, who won. Did he win 3?
Yes.
He won 3, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I knew he won at least 2. Not a long list of Jewish drivers at the Indianapolis 500 in the 106-year history here, or 104-year history. What is it now? 109-year history. Yeah, 109th and 114th. That's what it is. Okay, yes. It's hard to keep all the numbers in my head, but he is one of the few that is on that list, and I'll be excited. He's quick. He's talented. Winning poles guarantees you nothing on Sunday. It really, it doesn't.
Correct.
There have been a lot of pole winners that have not, contended for the race, much less won it.
Since 2009, the average finishing spot for the pole sitter is just under 11.
Pagano won from pole? Is that the last one?
Correct.
And then Elio before him in 09? Or was there somebody else that I'm missing?
I think that's right.
Yeah. So it's only happened twice in the last 16 years.
I'm looking right here. Okay. I get annoyed when you look and it says there's a like it'll say, 100% chance of precipitation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at it and it's because it's at 12:30 a.m. And I'm like,
yeah,
that's the night before.
I hate when the high for the day is at 1 a.m. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, I mean, come on, right?
And it fools you into believing what it's going to be outside. I hate that too. So Robert Shwartzman, hero of the week, Hoagie of the week, Keystone, Brew of the week from Chili Water Brewing Company. 500 miles high, it's delicious. The lager.
Do you know my favorite day of the year?
Race day.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Parade day. The day before. All the work is done. It's nothing but you have the next day, you know that the race is coming. You have your expectation for it, your excitement. There's no letdown on the Saturday before. On race day, there's the letdown afterwards, right? Although now you got the Pacer game that's going to happen that night. But,
Unreal.
But the parade itself, all of that is awesome.
Can I admit something?
Mm-hmm.
I've never been to the parade.
You have kids now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you not?
Singular.
Why would you not have taken him to the parade at this point?
Resting up. Rest up for race day.
It's at like noon.
Usually I was out in the Coke lot getting schmammered, so
okay.
I wasn't available to go to the race.
You had your 500.
I was out there in jean shorts.
You had your 500 miles high, right? Going with it with your mustache.
Shooting off bottle rockets in the bowels of the Coke lot. That's what I was doing. That we were having our own parade.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, brother.
Okay, sure. What you're looking at to my left is the biggest wuss in Coke lot history, right?
You didn't see me in my element. I was transitioning out of the Coke Lot campouts when you came out to see me in my Snuggie. But I was still throwing down. I probably had 4 Lime-A-Ritas.
Okay.
I was
you
still
went
throwing
home by
down,
10:30.
crushing Lime-A-Ritas. And I did go home. Yeah, I was in my comfy warm bed by 10:45. We come back on the show. Pacers. So we talked Racers. Pacers next.
Sandwich is great.
Final thoughts on their dominating series win over the Cavs. I've got a hot take about the Pacers based on the win over the Cavs, and we'll take a look towards the Knicks. We've got our milk presenter interview coming up later on today with Abby Herr, who is going to be the veteran milk presenter from our friends at American Dairy Association Indiana, too, so stay tuned for that. It's Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network.
Tonight.
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching. Barn needs cleaning. Tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do, from Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood presents Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network alongside the man, Jake Query, who is getting pulled in all kinds of directions this week. My God, emceeing stuff, autographing stuff,
You know,
hanging out with 2-time winners.
We have a development for me this week.
Oh, yeah?
This happens to me periodically, and I've gone through every checklist of causes, and can't find it.
A radio salesperson frantically calls you saying that they need you in 5 minutes
You're not
to show up at a 7-Eleven or something.
I've about a what would it be if something's every third week? Is that tri-weekly? I guess.
Sure. I don't think that's a thing, but sure.
I have like a canker sore thing that flares up, and then it makes it difficult for me to talk.
Oh, is it like a stress thing? Maybe you think
It's not stress though, because I'm not stressed. But you can probably hear the way I say it, and then I worry. Now I'm stressed though that it's going to be there.
I mean,
on
you
Sunday.
are kind of stressed though.
Not really.
I saw you at the media center on Wednesday, and you were stressed.
Wednesday. What was going on there?
You were going off the air to do something with me, and then you had to go back on the air. And somebody was filling in for you, and you had to wait for them to come to fill in, and then you had to go from the pagoda to the media center, and then you were going to go back to the pagoda, I think.
Maybe. It wasn't stress, though.
I don't know. Your tone was stressful. I know your tones. I know your looks. I've told people this before. I could tell within the first minute of seeing Jake and hearing Jake and looking at Jake whether he is having a good day or a bad day. That is one thing from all the time that we have spent together. That is one thing that I have a very good read on. Like, I can't even read my wife like that. But with you, I kind of know. But well, you sort of wear it on your sleeve.
I'm pretty candid about it.
You sort of wear it on your sleeve, yeah.
I don't try to sugarcoat
a big
it.
thank you to Bailey & Wood Financial Group, 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com, the proud presenting sponsors of Query and Schultz. Mike Wood and his team, 5-star customer service, 19 Indiana branch locations. Whether you're looking to refi, whether you're looking to get that pre-approval for a home mortgage, it is the spring buying season, especially for first-time home buyers. You want to be prepared to make an offer on your home. You could do so with our friends at Bailey & Wood Financial Group. They are fantastic. God, their golf outing will be here before you know it. That's fewer than 3 months away already, which is kind of crazy to think. Hot take. And you're more of a Pacers historian than I am, even though I feel like I have a pretty firm grasp on Pacers history. Just kind of tying a bow on the Cavs series, because the last time we talked, Pacers were still up 3-1, and they hadn't closed it out yet. Given the opponent and given how good they looked, like that was a no-doubter. That was a no-excuse series. Like if you want to look at the Pacers-Knicks series last year, for instance, you could say, well, Anunoby got hurt and Hart got hurt, and I think Brunson got hurt at some point. You know what I mean? Like they had injuries, and the Pacers had some good fortune. Yes, the Cavs had injuries, but given all of the circumstances of that, I thought it was the best playoff series win of the Pacers' NBA history.
Let me ask you this: in terms of impact, or in terms of resounding nature by which they did it?
Both, and the quality of opponent.
Yeah,
like I still think, and maybe people are still doing this because the Pacers had their way with them. I think people are underrating how good Cleveland was this year. Like Cleveland didn't have a good season. That wasn't a really good team. That was a great team.
That was a borderline historic season. Yes.
They won 64 games. That was a great team, and they crushed them. Really, outside of Game 3.
Yeah, they disheartened them.
They
right?
crushed them. I mean, you saw the end of Game 5. Like they were tapping out. They were ready to go home. They were like, God, they were
afraid of the plane.
We can't beat these guys.
Derek, I'm telling you, they were. It's exactly what I had said. I had a conversation with a former NBA player that said, Jake, you're going to know mid to late third quarter in Game 5, there is something that happens to teams psychologically when they look at it and they know, oh my gosh, like they just eviscerated us at home. And if we win this game, we've got to get on a plane and go back to their place. And then we got to come back here after that. And it took the wind out of their sails.
Yeah.
The thing that I have worry about, and I don't know if this is a legitimate worry, I don't know. I worry that the time off for Indiana, and New York's had time off too, but I worry that for the Pacers, the time off, the rhythm that they had, because they've been playing their best basketball of the year, without question. Is there going to be a layover now, a hangover of not just keeping it going? You want to get Game 1. You want to get Game 1 and set the tone early and immediately take back home court. Game 1 is usually the game to do that. Now, New York, Thibodeau they're up 36 and he's still got a starting 5 in. Yeah. You got to wonder, the Pacers want this. The longer the series goes, advantage Indiana, obviously, just in terms of fresh players. And they're going to try to wear them down over the course of the series. But don't sleep on the fact that, yes, New York might only use 6 or 7 guys, but Derek, they're pretty darn good 6 or 7.
Yeah, they're a great 6 or 7, and I think like some of the guys that you might remember from last year, like Deuce McBride, are better players than they were last year. I think I would be more worried about the rest and the layoff if they were starting at home, because there's just more at stake. This is maybe an unpopular opinion, but I think for this team and for this franchise, more often than not, I would just rather not have home court and start on the road. Outside of when you're in a series like against Milwaukee, where I felt like home court was really important, there's just something about the whole vibe around the Pacers that starting on the road and in New York just makes me more comfortable. Is that weird?
No, I get it.
And the Garden's a tough place to play. Don't get me wrong. It's probably at full throat. The Garden's probably, and maybe this is me being biased because of my previous emotional ties. I think it's the best venue that there is, but the Pacers have one there. They did it twice last year. Or wait, no, they did it once last year, right? In the Game 7. But they won a road Game 7 at Madison Square Garden, which is pretty incredible to think. The other thing, the other real sort of caveat in here is from last year to this year, and the Pacers Pacers are better too. Halliburton's a better defender. Nembhard's a better defender. They've all had individual improvement as well. Ben Mathurin, I think, can be a key in this series. He wasn't available last year. But Karl Anthony Towns is the other thing that's worrying me about this series. He kind of had his way with the Pacers.
Right. Totally.
And he is, if he's not the best shooting big man in the league, he's on the top of the list. He's a really good player.
I think the Pacers are going to attack Karl Anthony Towns. I think they think Karl Anthony Towns can be worn down and spends too much time on the ground, and they're going to go after him. I think they're going to go into Siakam and just start trying to go right and attack right at Karl Anthony Towns and try to eliminate him early in games.
Well, that's good, because if you could frustrate him, he's pretty easily frustratable. He does dumb stuff all the time, and gets frustrated and all of that. So that could be helpful. But something else that gives me some confidence for the Pacers. We talk so much about the rebounding. This is another area where the Knicks just eat on the glass. They did it against Cleveland. They held their own for the most part. Outside of Game 3, they really did a good job rebounding. So if they can kind of continue to do that. The caveat being Josh Hart, because Josh Hart's such a bulldog when it comes to attacking the glass and keeping him out of the series. But I think ultimately the Pacers have to feel confident. they dealt with the Garden last year. They could have and probably
Right.
should have won Game 1 last year, and they won Game 7. They could have won Game 2. Outside of Game 5, they played well in those games at the Garden. So, and the bottom line is, Jake, and you could say what you want about this being an Indiana-centric podcast and all that, I think the Pacers are better than them.
I think
the Pacers are better than the Knicks. And that's why I'm confident that they're going to win the series.
I mean, 6 through 11, undoubtedly, right?
Yeah.
But that starting five is pretty good, and they play well together. And Anunoby is kind of the wild card. I just think Anunoby does some things that are difficult to contend with that they didn't see last year, and he is a defender that can that gives them a different look than a year ago. And Towns is outstanding as well. I think it's going to be a very good series. I think I want the Pacers to get Game 1. To me is really important.
Yeah.
Really important.
Is it let's take Lakers-Celtics out of the equation because that's on its own tier. Are we at the point, and maybe this will be decided after these 7 games, are we at the point where you could argue that Pacers-Knicks is the second best long-standing rivalry in the league? Is that crazy
in
to
the
say?
NBA?
Yeah, is that crazy to say?
No, I think it is probably right.
I mean, I was trying to think of like what else would be in the conversation, like because some of the ones
Knicks
from
Bulls.
yeah, but
I think Knicks fans at this point would tell you that
that
the
was
Pacers,
contained in the 90s.
right.
Really, that had nothing. There was no other era where Knicks Bulls was
probably Philly Boston, just based on
years and years,
or
yeah.
New York Boston.
Well, yeah, and there were like didn't like the Philadelphia Warriors play the Celtics and stuff like that. So maybe there's a history that I'm not even really kind of fully. But the Sixers and in the 80s, the Moses Malone, late Dr. J teams had great.
You're
rivalries
maybe
with them.
a bad person to ask because you grew up a Knicks fan during the height of the Pacers-Knicks thing. But if you were to ask, a 60-year-old Knicks fan to list his 3 least favorite franchises, what does he list?
Yeah, Pacers, Heat, Bulls.
Over Lakers? Over Lakers, you think?
Oh, 60-year-old?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess 60-year-old might include the Lakers because they would have remembered. I don't remember the 70s teams.
It's just
right?
because it's been the dominant franchise, right?
Yeah, but like of my lifetime, I'm 42. Clearly, the 3 biggest rivals, the 3 biggest rivalries because of constant playoff matchups have been the Bulls, Heat, and Pacers. And the Pacers are number 1 on that list just because they've transcended
I would think
generations.
Celtics are in there as well, just because people from New York hate Boston and vice versa, right?
Yeah, I think there's always that element, but and they're in the same division. Like people tried to make Giants Patriots a thing, but Patriots Jets is the thing, not Giants Patriots. But yeah, I mean the Pacers. This will be the 9th playoff matchup. Is that right?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, I mean that's insane.
Yeah, I know.
Not 9th in 30 years or 32 years, which is just kind of crazy to think about. And how about this, Jake? And I had this the other night, and Chris Denari even responded to it. Every time in their modern history, so in the last 50 years, that the Knicks or Pacers have gone to the finals, they've had to go through each other.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of cool. Like that makes it
crazy,
special too, right?
Yeah.
You've never not had that. So I'm geeked up. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, it's very awkward for me. I can say that I mentally divorce myself from the Knicks, but I hear the Madison Square Garden organ and
nostalgia, right?
I have a visceral reaction to that. Like I can't help it. I can't divorce myself from those feelings or from, I still can't watch the Ewing miss finger roll. I can't watch the tape. It nauseates me.
The guy throws the towel from it's wonderful.
I can't do it. So things like that just kind of always stick with you. I was trying to think of like it would be like if your ex-wife and your new wife were like buddies, and you had to hang out with them. Is that a good combo? Like it's just kind of weird. It's like, wait, you're my ex-wife and
what's the gal's name?
new wife
What's the gal's name from IU
now you're hanging out
that you met the first week?
Yeah, but that was like a 6-month thing. That's different. But she was like the first like person that I was like crazy like enamored with.
So if you came home tomorrow,
she was my first love.
If Ann was over for dinner, it wouldn't bother you. You'd be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be weird.
Okay,
it'd be weird. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Ashley doesn't care. I don't think she knows.
All I know is this. The Pacers are going to be playing on the night of the Indianapolis 500-mile race, 8 o'clock tip, TNT. Reggie Miller will be there, Pacers-Knicks. It'll be the first home game of the playoff series, and this has happened twice before, I believe, where there has been a game on race night, and the Pacers are 0-2.
Yeah, tornado against the Pistons, right? And then they lost to the Heat.
Correct.
Right? Those are the two?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, cool. And they tried to do the checkered flag, and it didn't work. Remember, they had the white shirts and the black shirts,
that's right.
and it didn't look right with the sections when you laid it out. But then when you had the game, it didn't look right. But please put on the shirt when they ask you to put on the shirt, guys. Put on the shirt. Vince always puts on the shirt.
Vince is wearing
guys should put on the shirt.
Why not Indiana?
That's right. Yeah, pretty cool.
Let's go.
Yeah, those are sweeping the nation. Let's get to our Winners Drink Milk. Winner of the week, brought to you by our friends at American Dairy Association Indiana, where winners drink milk, winnersdrinkmilk.com.
And guess what we're doing this week, Derek?
Fastest rookie luncheon tomorrow at the Pavilion, Pagoda Plaza. Going to be a lot of fun. Robert Shwartzman will be there.
Louis Foster.
Is there a 3-person class?
Nolan Siegel, Louis Foster.
3-person class this year. So it's a light rookie class. But thanks to our friends at the Dairy Association for having us out. I'm just going to take a sip because I don't want to wait. You know, it's good milk. We did IndyCar for the Hoagies and Hops, so I was going to do NBA here. So, another team that I wanted to acknowledge. Winner of the week to me is the Timberwolves franchise. Historically speaking, what? Yeah. Minnesota Timberwolves. It's a great story.
The American Dairy Association of Indiana and its dairy farmers that produce the milk that not only allows you...
Why can't I say this?
Like chocolate milk after a workout, where you get as much protein as a hard-boiled egg. You get just as much vitamin A as spinach, as much potassium as you get in a banana, and all of the refreshment that comes with, of course, drinking milk after a workout. And the American Dairy Association of Indiana that provides the coolest award in all of sports. The swig of milk to the winner of the Indianapolis 500-mile race, the greatest tradition in sports. And we are going to toast the fastest rookie, Robert Shwartzman, at the fastest rookie luncheon this week, and it's the week of the race in Indianapolis. So Derek Schultz with our sponsorship for the American Dairy Association of Indiana, where winners drink milk, for the month of May, the week of the Indianapolis 500, decides to do nothing but go to Minnesota. Really?
It's a great story. I don't want to just make it Indiana all the time on this show. Anthony Edwards, who doesn't like the Wolves? Michael Grady's their play-by-play guy, for God's sake.
In just a second, I will allow Derek
Central
to
Zone.
award his Winners Drink Milk Winner of the Week. But at least for this half of the show, it's the person that we will be toasting tomorrow, Robert Shwartzman, who is the first in 41 years
He's the
rookie.
hero of the week.
He's a winner as well. He won the poll. Robert Shwartzman, because we are toasting him tomorrow, we're toasting him today. The Dairy Association is on board with us for the month of May. It's May in Indy. It's milk time, baby. Let's go.
You can't double up. It's illegal. It's against the rules to double up. So, no, it's the Timberwolves.
Our winner and hero of the week next week, by the way.
All right, how about this?
Probably going to be the winner.
Since you get so upset about this. Winner of the week, the NBA. You're going to have 4 franchises now that are left. You're going to have a champion this year that has either never won or hasn't won in a really long time. No one under the age of 50, hell, no one under the age of 60 remembers the last Knicks championship. Really, really, really remembers it. And no one cares about the Sonics and the Thunder. No one in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma cares about Seattle, Washington. No one. And plus, who cares? Like, that was like the worst era of the NBA ever. Nobody remembers the Washington Bullets and the Sonics. Like, that was a terrible, terrible era for the NBA. The two of the most irrelevant. It's the, no offense, but like the Kenny Breck era of NBA basketball was that. And I think Kenny Breck was actually a really good driver. He was cool to us. So I'm just using the late 90s post-split. Obviously, the race was not what it was, right? And I think that's great. I think it's great to think that people might not like it here. I think it's great to think that the New York Knicks might be the NBA champion this year. I think that's great. I think that's great for the league. I think it's great to think that the Indiana Pacers might be the NBA champion this year. And what it means for team building and small markets and a blueprint for success. I think it's amazing that the Thunder, a young team who have made all these savvy trades and all these amazing draft picks, can win the NBA championship this year. I think it's great that the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have never done anything, have never won anything,
correct,
could win the NBA championship this year.
Yeah, you're right.
I think all 4 of those storylines should be celebrated.
I'll tell you, I think Oklahoma City has the most youth and talent. I think the Pacers have the most depth. I think the Knicks have arguably the most heart, and I think Minnesota has the biggest dog. Anthony Edwards is the kind of guy that can just say, I'm just going to go, I'm not going to lose.
Yeah, but I
Brunson's
think,
got a little of that too in him.
But SGA is the best player left, I think.
I don't disagree.
Yeah. But yeah, Edwards is fun, and it should be great. It looks like they're not letting them wear the City Edition uniforms, so that's how it should be. Hopefully the Knicks wear white. Knicks should wear white at home. That is my old guy get off my lawn thing.
Okay.
Knicks should not wear black jerseys at home or away jerseys at home. Drives me nuts. Pacers, I don't really care as much because they wear the gold a lot in the playoffs, and I kind of like that. Pacers don't need to wear white, but Knicks have to wear white at home. It's important to me. We come back on the show. We're going to do Bot or Bull Bleep because you got to get going for your interview. So Bot or Bull Bleep next, and then we'll wrap with the Milk Presenters interview when we come back. It's Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network.
At Bailey and Wood,
An Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching. Barn needs cleaning. Tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do. From Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Welcome back. It's Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network, brought to you by Bailey and Wood Financial Group. And we are also proudly sponsored by Chateau Kitchens. They are in the business of in-home transformations at Chateau. I'm enjoying my basement. The summer months is nice because it's nice and cool down there, and I can just lay on the couch. And sometimes the dog comes down there too, which is nice because he kind of snuggles up because he likes to get cool as well. He's got a lot of fluff right now. He needs to go to the groomer, does Ollie.
Okay.
Eddie passed away over the weekend.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you were a big Eddie fan. My in-laws had a boxer named Eddie who was a beautiful dog and a lovely dog and a very good boy.
Good long life, though.
Good long life. He was 10. They found some tumors that had metastasized, and he was having trouble breathing the last couple of weeks, so they did the right thing. But my 75-year-old father-in-law is the expectation for him was that this was going to be his last dog, in the sense that when they got him, they're like, well, this dog will outlive me.
Right.
And here's my father-in-law, God bless him, still kicking, and he's just completely torn up about it. So
it's tough, man. It's like losing a family member for sure.
Absolutely, it is. It's hard to go through that. Sorry, I didn't mean to start the segment on a downer a little bit there, but I know you had an affinity for Eddie.
Dog.
He was a great dog. Bot or Bull Bleep.
When I met Eddie, he would have only been
2. He was still
yeah.
like out of control. I mean, young boxers, they mellow out and they're real cool older. At Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook for before and after pictures, and chateaukitchens.com for your next project. Statement number 1 for Bot or Bull Bleep. It'll be a first-time winner at the 500 on Sunday.
I would have leaned heavily towards buy it because I have said forever Scott McLaughlin was my pick.
Yeah.
But this whole thing with him crashing and then the attenuator changes, it feels cheap to say Pato O'Ward because it just is almost so obvious, right?
Yeah.
But I will say still Bull Schultz because Pelot's right there, but I think Dixon's got a shot. I think Sato's got a shot.
Dixon's always got a shot.
But I think those Chevrolets are just so fast in the pull-away speed. I think Will Power has a sneaky chance.
Oh.
So
okay.
I'll go with the odds and say not a first-time winner.
So it's either the field or Sato, Dixon, Erickson.
Well, Hunter-Ray.
Newgarden.
Rossi.
Power. Rossi.
There are 8.
Elio, Hunter-Ray.
Okay.
Right? That's it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take the field.
Okay.
And I feel pretty good about that. I don't always feel good about that. Sometimes I take, the winner.
Okay, how about this?
I think it's going to be that.
How about this?
Yeah.
Bot or Bull Schultz. One of the front row starters will finish 25 or lower.
You know what? I'm going to say Bull Schultz on that.
Okay.
Barring an incident, it's not going to be an award. And Sato's maybe a little bit feast or famine in this event, but he's good too. And I think Schwartzman will keep it clean. I think you got a better chance keeping it clean starting from where he's starting from than when you're having to work through traffic, right? So, yeah, I'm going to say bull bleep. Okay. What about you? Because 25 or worse, you're thinking incident.
Yeah. Well, or just mechanical or something.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Incident doesn't have to mean wreck.
I'll say just for the fun of it, I buy it.
Okay.
And no knock on any of those three. Just the law of averages says that one of those three is going to have a bad day.
Yeah. Final one. This is the Pacers' best title shot ever. Buy or bull bleep?
Bull Schultz. Their best title shot was 99. When it was the strike-shortened season or the lockout-shortened season, and I thought they were the best team in basketball. And that was one of the 3 games, by the way, where they lost a game 1. I had forgotten about that one. So there were 3 times on the night of the 500 they lost that night, and that was the 4-point play year. That was the one that got away. I thought that was their best opportunity. Second best would have been in 98 when they had the Bulls on the ropes. They absolutely would have beaten Utah. So those teams were so close and so good and so veteran-laden. But in terms of the seas parting for them, this is very high on the list.
Here's my hot take. I always felt like their best title shot was 05. It was a really weak time for the year, for the league. It was just there weren't, we were out of the Kobe Shaq era.
I mean, their best title was that the Brawl year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was their best title shot, just all the circumstances. So no, I don't think this is their best title shot, but I
will say, how fortunate are we as a market to have a team that has this many relevant periods?
Yeah. No, it's been great. And it's been nice. It's been a nice palate cleanser from what we get every fall lately.
Right.
No one's even mentioning the Colts, but yeah, it's nice. It's nice that there's a team for fans here to rally behind because fans have been great. I know you got to get going. So, bye. We come back. We will conclude. Should we just bid it adieu right here, and then we can end with the milk presenters? You want to do that?
We had a chance to speak with the woman who will be handing the bottle of milk.
Why don't we thank the sponsors, and then we'll end with the milk presenters interview. How about that?
So, Chateau Kitchens. Oh, so many thanks for being a part of this program as well.
I'll just keep waving.
Hoagies and Hops. Oh, so many thanks for Hoagies and Hops and Chili Water for being part of this program.
The best.
Also, of course, it goes without saying, the American Dairy Association of Indiana.
Chug it.
The American Dairy Association, because, as you will find out, winners drink milk. Good. And it goes without saying, Bailey and Wood
milk
as well.
Yeah, thanks to all of our great sponsors. Abby Herr, milk presenter, is our interview next, and we will see you next time after we crown a champion for the Indianapolis 500 on Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network. Bye.
Derek, I'm not going to lie to you. There are very few things that can get me to comfortably sit this close to you, right? Come on.
Listen, look at this. 2 buddies.
The Indianapolis Motor Speedway is, of course, full of traditions, and there is no greater tradition, Derek, than that we're going to talk about, and that is, of course, 2 things. The tradition of the milk for the winner.
Absolutely.
And our tradition of talking to those that are presenting the milk in representation of the dairy farmers of Indiana, which are the best group of people for us to represent, right?
You're missing a 3rd tradition.
Okay.
Us being best friends at the world's greatest race course.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Like we are right now. Abby Herr is the veteran milk presenter this year, who we became familiar with last year. Actually, we were in the same spot doing the milk chug with Abby when she was the rookie presenter. And as they always do, the rookies become the veterans. She runs her dairy near Kendallville, Indiana. And she's kind enough to join us here on Query and Schultz. And Abby, it's great to see you again. And I always say this to the rookies that become the veterans. Like, it's weird to think that was a year ago, wasn't it? Like, here we are again. And now you're going to have the responsibility of handing the milk to the winning driver.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. But yes, this year has flown by. Like, it's so crazy to think last year I was in Victory Circle looking for the chief mechanic and the team owner. And now this year I have the easy job of finding the winning driver. So I am pumped. I'm ready. 10 days. Let's do this.
Okay, so Abby, here's the thing. I know that because you use social media to show, like, getting the cows ready every morning and going through the process, the commitment of being a dairy farmer. So you're no stranger to the cameras, right? But this is a big moment. It's a big moment. You got to witness it last year, but now it's your moment. Are you nervous?
Yeah. Yes, I am nervous. Obviously, I don't want to be a milk meme. I'm afraid I'm going to drop the milk. Yeah, I'm nervous, but I mean, to be out there, we're the 4th generation raising the 5th generation. So I have 2 daughters, and it's 2 women, that present the milk this year, and it's only the 2nd time it's ever happened. there in Victory Circle. So I'm excited to be representing, my daughters, and hopefully I inspire them. But yeah, to be in Victory Circle as a dairy farmer, I mean, I'm just a dairy farmer. So to think that we get to be out there on the world stage and hand the milk to the winning driver and the team owner and chief mechanic, it's such a truly humbling thing.
One of the things that I think, when you watch the Indy 500 and whoever it is that you are handing the milk to, you're seeing somebody who obviously has had the commitment to be able to go out every day through practice and everything else. The race itself is the glory, but there's all the behind the scenes. You can relate to that, I think. And it's really illuminated for me during this partnership with you guys in the Dairy Association, just the overall work that goes into getting everybody that bottle of milk, right? It truly is a profession of dedication.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is so crazy how much in common the race world and, dairy farmers have in common. I mean, we all put in hard work. It takes a lot of time, dedication, determination, and we all want, one goal. The race driver obviously wants to win the race, and, dairy farmers, we want to produce the nutritious beverage that they get to drink there in Victory Circle, the milk.
What's it mean to you, Abby, to be part of such a cherished tradition? Because there are lots of traditions that are out here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, with back home again in Indiana and the flyover and the cannon sounding there at 6 a.m. for the gates opening up. But I think everybody would agree the best tradition of all is this one. And you're the one that's front and center for the best tradition at the world's greatest race, at the world's greatest race course.
Yeah, it's so surreal to me still. I mean, even though I was the rookie last year and now the veteran this year, like, it's so surreal to be a part of that tradition. Like I said, my two daughters, I'm only hoping I'm a good role model for them, and this inspires them to maybe want to be in Victory Circle one day. But to be a part of that tradition, such a long-standing tradition too. I mean, it's so surreal to me, and I just love that I get to represent, the 700 dairy farm families across the state of Indiana, and I just hope I can make them proud.
Okay, so last year, what was the coolest part about it? Being able, as the rookie last year, to watch it, what was the coolest part of of Victory Circle?
I mean, all of it was so cool, but I mean, obviously, waiting there to go out into Victory Circle to give the milk to the team owner and chief mechanic, all of a sudden you just hear milk, milk, milk. And I mean, we're rushing out there, watching everybody just kind of filter up, and all the emotion, like, that was just so much fun. And then just to be a part of that as a rookie was so much fun. So I can't imagine as a veteran how much cooler that's going to be.
That's me when I get home from the gym break. I say, milk, 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 right now. I feel my muscles and all that.
Right? Hey, that's awesome. I was going to say, as a dairy farmer, I like to hear that. So
there you go. Abby, congratulations. We'll see you at the rookie luncheon. We can't wait for that either next week. And I know you're going to do a great job. You're not going to fumble the milk or anything like that. You're going to do awesome. And it should be a lot of fun. Well, always great to team up with dairy farmers like you and American Dairy Association Indiana and winnersdrinkmilk.com, Jake.
That's right.
The absolute, like I said, the best tradition that there is.
It is.
That's right. And winners drink milk. That's perfect way to end that. Winners drink milk. We love it.
Hey, AC, which games are we going to tonight?
We cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching. Barn needs cleaning. Tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do, from Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Hey, AC,
Nice snap.
mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching. Barn needs cleaning. Tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do, from Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
At Bay's